What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Art Shack. So this is part 4 to How to Draw the Summer in the Mountains series. I almost forgot what I'm drawing here. Well, got a lot of projects going on. But this video is going to be about just fine-tuning a lot of the background cliffs here. I'll probably get into the waterfall a little bit. I'm not sure why this area is white, but I'm going to be fixing that. I'm probably going to be doing a little bit more over here. But right now it's a very, very rough sort of sketch phase. I'm going to try and fine-tune some of it during this video. So first things first, let me zoom in a bit. That way you can see what's going on. That seems about good. Alright, so this is where I'm at, which isn't very far. So I'm going to start off with an HB, and I made sure that it's nice and sharpened because I'm going to be doing a lot of sort of detail work for this. So I just want to make sure it's all good for that. Alright, so what I want to try and do is reestablish the tops of these rocks. So they got a little bit lost. So I just want to make some nice edges and things like that to them. So a lot of this is going to be a combination of using a dark pencil and the blending stump. And this whole area over here can get shaded in. There we go. That makes me feel better. So this dark part of the cliffs over here, it's going to remain fairly dark and without a lot of detail, mainly because I don't want to draw too much attention over here. So I'm just trying to darken this in. But I will add a little bit of detail work. I don't want to leave it just a solid shade of a pencil. That way, if you do decide to look over here, there will be something of interest to actually see. Just some little things to keep in mind. I'm going to go a little bit darker here with the 2B. I want to make this side of the drawing fairly dark. Alright, so I'm just going to use the blending stump and just kind of smooth some things over. Still want to leave a little bit of texture, but just to give it a little bit more of a unified look and feel. Now I just want to get back into the tops of these rocks and just give it some defining characteristics. And right here I'm just trying to reestablish some of this tree that got lost within the cliff. Alright. Now let's get over to this side. Now to make this waterfall really stand out, I want to make a lot of these rocks around it very dark to help build up that contrast. So I'm going to have a large rock hanging out right in here. Just work on shading that in a bit. This whole rock wall is going to be very, very dark. That was pretty much my plan from the beginning, just to give everything a bit of a nice amount of contrast. One thing I like to sort of do is shade in the tops of the rock quite a bit, and then leave the bottoms of the rock, or the face of them, just with the blending stump. Just kind of creates a nice gradation. And then you can also have a nice difference between where one rock will begin and the other one will end. So just some other things you can think about while you're drawing along. There's going to be a rock hanging out right here, as well as right here. It's all going to be rock. Alright, so let's try working on that waterfall a little bit. I'm going to zoom in quite a bit, that way you can really see what's going on. This is going to be a back and forth process of going through quite a bit of a process, so I can really show you everything that's going on. I'm going to start off with an HB. Now, one thing I want to really keep established is the contrast between light and dark. So I don't want to make the waterfall too dark, but at the same time I need that detail to really show that there's a waterfall happening right here. So I'm going to start off with the HB and just create a very, very light shading here. Just like that. Same with down here. So this is a two-part waterfall. First part comes down right here, hits a couple rocks, and then it reforms over here and falls again. It's also going to fall right in here as well. I might break this up and have multiple waterfalls or something. Might have a little one coming down here, which comes down and falls right there, as well as this one right here, which comes down. And then I can have a rock established right here. But I'm getting way too carried away, so let me get back into what I was doing. So let me reestablish some of these rocks that are going to be hanging out in here. Same with over here. Oh, drawing off camera. Sorry. So I just did a little bit of shading right here. Now I'm just going to blend this out. Just like that. That way you get a little bit of a defining line right there. Alright, so let's start adding some detail to this water. Actually, first what I'm going to do, grab a blending stump with a nice tip on it, if I can find one. Here we go. And I want to blend this just a little bit. Just a touch. Now, an eraser like this will do wonders, but if you have a pink pearl eraser, try using the corner of that. Otherwise, just try and find a nice corner of eraser if you don't have an eraser like this one. And just lightly try and pick out some fine lines in here. So I just picked out a little bit, not too much. Now with that same HB pencil, I'm going to use the tip of it this time. Just put in a little bit of line, just like that. And like that. And with the eraser, I'm actually going to grab a pink pearl myself. I'll get a little bit of an edge on there. So if you have one like this, it'll really help out. I have a little bit better of an edge on this one because I don't really use it too much. But you can just pick out a little bit more of what was done. Clean away everything else. And then just go back in again. And just put a little bit more lines in. So it's a multi-step process, building up, building layers, getting some depth in there. And some of these lines are a bit pronounced, so you can just draw around them just a little bit. And then take the eraser once again and just touch them just a little bit, soften them up, just like that. So you can go back and forth on this quite a bit to get the desired effect. I'm going to go into it one more time with the eraser and just try and pick out some nice highlights. Just like that. Now more towards the top, I want to create a little bit more lines, just showing that there's a heavy flow of water coming over. Same with down here. Just put in a few more lines. And then if you can, right where the water bends and falls over, try and get a little highlight right there. Just a little touch. It'll go a long way. And the same with up top. Just like that. And probably just like that, I'll end up leaving it. But I do want to go back in a little bit, just to make some of these surrounding rocks a tad bit darker to make a little bit more contrast. Just like that. Then we can smooth some stuff out. All right. Whoop. Let me zoom back out a bit. I'll leave it about there. All right. So I'm going to go back to the HB, and I'm going to start working out some of these areas in here. So there's going to be some large rocks. So I'm just going to kind of sketch them out a bit and shade in at the same time. So I'll have a rock there. Then I'll have some more rocks kind of hanging out right in here. Mainly what we're just trying to do is clean up this area. Get rid of that sketchy look to it and kind of give it a bit more of a polished, refined look. And then towards the end of the drawing, this will blend in with the rest of it quite nicely. So I have a 2B now, and I'm just darkening in a little bit more. It's a very repetitive process. Alright. And then let's draw in a larger rock that kind of hangs out right in here. And then we'll have this rock hanging out, this large rock in the front. This is what's going to split that waterfall up, the little one down here. As well as that one there. We'll have another rock hanging out right in here. Just going to shade this area in. Alright, so with the blending stump, just smooth some things out. Especially with this rock here. I want to make sure that's nice and established. Alright, and then right here as well, we'll have another rock hanging out. Okay, so you can probably see that we have this waterfall, little one, that's going to hang out, and we'll have another rock that's right over here. So these rocks, I'm adding them in as I see fit, just to kind of shape everything. So because this water is coming down here, I don't want this water to flow back this way, so I'm going to place a rock here so that the water will flow back this way. So you kind of have to solve the Earth's physics and things like that as you go, but you don't have to have a physics major to kind of figure this stuff out. Just observations. So the way that you place objects is it helps a lot towards what's actually going on in your drawing, especially if there's things that are going to have effect on one another. So water will definitely have an effect on different objects as if it was real life and it was actually moving. You have to kind of think about where it's going to be and how it's going to be interacting with other objects. Alright, so this water, we're going to have a little waterfall right there. I think. Maybe not. I don't know. I haven't figured this out yet. It's kind of like on the fly sort of deal. Maybe I won't. I don't think it'll fit in right if I do it like that. So let me just add in another rock here, just to kind of encase that in. And then you can kind of see that I have a waterfall right in here. Now the reason why I'm not using my eraser stick is because I don't have a nice edge on it, while this has a very sharp edge. So in this case the waterfall is very small and I need a very sharp edge for the eraser. So I'm going to use the HB again. It's the same process as this waterfall here. And just kind of create some lines. Just blend them a little bit. And just take the eraser. I'm not going to put as much detail in this as I did the other. I'll just do a little bit like that. Now we'll have her kind of sculpt this one a bit. I want to create that waterfall flowing the other way. Alright, so now I'll need a rock to be hanging out over here, just to kind of create an end to this waterfall, so that way it'll only be so wide. And then we need somewhere for all this water to flow. So a rock hanging out in here is going to help out quite a bit. So I'm noticing as I'm going that there's some little changes that need to happen. Like right here. I'm noticing that with it bowing in too much, the perspective didn't really look correct. So I'm just kind of shortening everything. So because we're looking straight at this, there's ellipses that will naturally occur. So let me zoom out. So what I'm talking about is when you look at a circle, when you look at straight down, I can't draw circles, but you'll see what I mean. You're looking straight down at the circle, so you'll see everything. So think of this circle as a pond of water, like we have right here. But as you're looking at it at an angle, that ellipse will start to form like that. That's as you're looking more at an angle at it. So that's what's happening here. We're looking at the circle on an angle, so you can't see the full curvature of it. You're going to see more of a straight edge on the bottom, and a straight edge at the top, and then very sharp curves at the sides. So that's really what I like to think about when I'm thinking about perspective, is just how shapes are going to change because of my viewing angle of the drawing. Now I have to erase these circles. No big deal. And they're gone, for the most part. Okay. Let me get back into this a little bit. I'll zoom in again. Just like that. So I'll have some more rocks. They're going to be hanging out right in here. So I'm going back and forth mainly between HB and a 2B, depending upon how dark I want different objects to be. Now I'm debating whether or not, maybe I will, just to add a little bit more of a waterfall, like right in here. Why not? Let's add one more in. Just because I can, and it's fun. It's the only reason why. Just use a blending stump just to kind of clean things up a little bit. And then just give it a little bit of a touch. And some lines, just like that. Then I'll make this rock here larger. Now because I did that, this is going to have to come out even more. Just a little bit, not too big of a deal. You can always add larger rocks in the area. It'll kind of help with everything and the way they look. So another rock there. So there you go, you can kind of see how everything is coming into place. We'll have another rock just kind of hanging out right here. So just want like a little waterfall happening right there, just like that. So you can kind of see how everything right here is getting really nice and cleaned up. And then we'll have this water flowing. It's going to hang out in this pond for a little bit. We'll have another rock right here. So I'm just going to sketch out really quick. I've made quite a few changes to the perspective a little bit, so I just have to make sure that I compensate for that in different areas of my drawing before I forget. So because I effectively shortened this area from being like this to where it is now, I changed the viewing angle slightly to where this is, but not enough that really affects anything else, but it will affect the foreground. So this tree is going to be okay. Just want to reestablish where that's going to be. But a lot of the objects in the foreground are going to be raised up more. So if I have a rock in here, it's going to become a lot higher and things like that. Because the lower that you get on this, like if you're looking at an object, like if you have a cup in front of another cup and you're standing above them, you can see both cups, but as you bend down, both those cups sort of become like one because you can't see over the first cup to see the second one. So that's sort of what's happening here. A lot of the foreground objects are going to become much higher and more established because of what has been changed here, which isn't too big of a deal. So hopefully you can understand my little analogy right there. If not, I know that I need to make a video in perspective. I've been thinking about different ways to execute it, and the most effective way that I understand it so that you can understand it. But then again, my knowledge of perspective isn't all that great, so I'm trying to kind of figure out more about it. That way I can really make a nice video about it. That way, that'll help everyone out. So I'm still kind of working on that. I know that's been a pretty popular request, so. Alright, so this water will flow into here, and then it'll flow off this cliff, fall 300 feet into a river there. So, it's going to go a long way. Alright, so that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in this video, and next video, I'm finally probably going to get to this foreground, what's left of it. I got to make a bit of a plan as to what's going to be in here. I'm not totally sure yet. I'm just kind of going with the flow here, seeing what to make of it. But it's coming out pretty well. Now that I've polished out this area, it's coming out pretty well. So I hope you all enjoy this one. I want to thank all of you for watching. It means a lot to me, really. It really does. And I will see you all later. Take care, everyone.